Hello and welcome to this week's video, which is all about capturing movement in animals. I'm going to be showing you how to do thumbnails and how to do more detailed drawings. What I'm going to do first of all is show you a video that I took of my cat playing, and then I'll be drawing from it afterwards. So what I'm going to do is run my video, and I will be looking to take snapshot images in my mind, like photographs, and I'll be using those to do very quick roughs. Cat pulling on the toy, and this is from memory, but it's also knowing the cat and knowing the form of the cat. If you're drawing an animal, you might, and you've got them in front of you, you might want to watch them for a little while before you start drawing them to get a feel of the shape of the body. Up on the legs. And what I'm trying to do is capture the feel of the body shape and the movement. So this is not realistic drawing, this is just expression. So there was another one where her head was back, and there you have the body and the leg. All this is from my memory, and I'm not too worried about getting it wrong because these are very quick. And what you'll find is the more you do these kind of things, the better your observation skills get. So I'll do another one, and it's quite nice to do one over another because then you get the feeling of movement on the page. So another one was, I'm running out of space, her head was up looking at it as it moved across the area, and then she was slightly stretched forward and her tail was out here. Another one is, I can see, again, this is a seating one, and I'm just getting a feel of the shape of her. So it's just expressive lines like that. So you can see how this builds up into an action drawing. This is very gestural. What I'm going to do next is a more detailed drawing. I'm going to be taking a snapshot in my head again and looking at her as she plays within the video, and then seeing how much I can remember to put down. Okay, so having watched the video, there's one little bit and I noticed her back legs. Her back was arched and her head was forward, and there was lots of movement in the head, so I didn't quite catch what the head was doing, but the body shape was like this. So you can look for a body shape, you can look for a line of expression. I think the tail was coming off over here, and you can exaggerate, you can have a few lines that suggest movement. And she had one foot out the side there, and the other foot was down here like that. And that is pretty much all I can remember. Now I remember the light was coming from this angle, so you can put a bit of tonal value in as well. And I think that there was a shadow going from the body, so I can, because this is on black, I can put in some paler areas and just have the shadow going. I think she had a paw there as well, and that was a front paw. So the shadow can be the, sorry, the white can be the ground, and the shadow can be the paper left behind. This is just sugar paper. She had a light on her head like that, and yeah, I think that was it. So that's a very quick sketch again, but with slightly more detail. Another way to get expression of movement is to actually track the movement itself rather than the shape or the form of the animal. So again, I'm going to run my video and look at that as I go. And so there's a stretching and then a pulling, that's her rear end. And then her legs go up, so there's a stretching again going up. And then she's moving round to grab the, what I call wormy, the toy. So there was a paw moving out. And yeah, she's jumping up slightly over here. Like that. So you can see I've got quite a mess of lines, but I can see a lot of movement in it. And you can also exaggerate the movement by having lines that suggest moving around. So you see this line here, she was turning at the time, so we can have lines that suggest that curve of movement. Now the second video that I'm going to use is of a Gibbon monkey. I got this off YouTube, so I can't play the video. However, I'm going to put the address here. And you can watch it and have a go yourself. Now what I did with this is I paused the film at a moment that I really liked, which was the Gibbon making lots of noises. It was quite amusing. So I'm using a paused video here, and I'm going to show you how to make expression and movement with a still picture. So the face of the Gibbon is dropped down like that, and you've got the nostrils. And then the mouth was particularly good. So the mouth came down like that. And then you've got under the eyes, really nice shadow. So I'm just looking again, because I'm working quite quickly, I'm just looking for very loose shapes and lines that I can follow. Now what made this so good was the chin as well. So I'm exaggerating slightly. There's the nose. And you had the hair there. And the reason I'm exaggerating is because the face the Gibbon was pulling I found fascinating, and I just wanted to exaggerate and draw emphasis to that. So you've got the lips going down here, and then it's got a little bit of a beard. And then the ear was down over here. And then the head is very flat, so it's all face. Like that. And the arm comes over here, but I'm going to have the arm back a bit, because I can remember further in the video the head was pushing forward a little bit more, and then the arm is over there like that. So you can use a few lines like this to express movement. You can also use a few lines in the background, and that will give, that will give the animal a little bit of movement. You can use, I'm going to use a bit of white to suggest shadow. So I'm working in opposite tonal value, going over there. And you can get a lot of expression and movement just using line. That goes down there. And then you've got the chest, which I'm going to have curving like that. So I like this line and the pushing forward of the head. I'm going to put some white pastel over here, and this is also white as well. I think really the dynamic of this image is the movement forward, and I think the chest and the back of the head going into the back, and then the arm down here, and the way the mouth is so open as if it's moving forward. I think that's what I wanted to achieve. So going over here, there's another eye. The next picture I'm going to do is of the monkey in a tree, and it's holding on with one arm while the other arm's dangling down, and there's a real tension in the shoulders. What I'm going to try and do is express that tension and use a few gestural marks to show how the weight is all on the one arm. So I'm going to start with the mouth. Now the mouth should actually come down here because it's about halfway. I'm going to work quite small. So this is the mouth. And then you can just barely see the nose and the eye up here. And because it's shouting, it's got it's got its eye closed. So there's the shape of the head. Really like this expression on its face. And then you've got that chin and the bit of the beard there. So what happens is this arm is going up here and really pulling, goes off the page actually. So I'm going to really feel that tension, which will be under the arm there. So I could put a few lines going on there. And then going down here, you've got the other arm, which is actually rather wide compared with this arm because it's loose and dangling. So I'll put that down there like that, and it goes off the page. And because I want the head to move forward a little bit, so I'm going to change the mouth slightly and fill that in. Nose there, eye there. And then you've got, I think you've got the legs. It's a bit hard to see. Now the legs go over there. So I could use some linear marks to suggest tension. And then maybe some marks around here, as if it's coming forward. And then I could use the background to suggest movement this way. So you can use the environment, the area around the animal to suggest movement as well. What that does is it gives all these lines, you drag your eye over here. So there's a real linear movement going right the way across diagonally. And I'm using these leaves just to bring the eye back in to the page. And then we've got quite a few lines coming in from the background here. So you can see when you're working like this, drawing's not going to be brilliant, but that's not the point. What you're trying to do is capture the feel of movement. And I'm using a line to go up there to take the eye in. That's a line from the leg, and the arm drops down there, and the other leg is this side. So I might thicken this arm so it stands out a little bit more, and the head. Like that. The next video I'm going to be using is elephants. So elephants are relatively simple. We know that an elephant shape is going to be the barrel of the body. And then you've got the shape of the head, like that. And then the ear, and then you've just got the legs, like that. So bearing that in mind, you want to think about these shapes when you're drawing or when you're taking your snapshot image in your head. I'm going to do this drawing from a still of a film, and it's pretty similar shape to what I've just drawn because it's the same angle. And so I'm going to try and show how this elephant is moving. Now to depict how an animal is moving, you have to look at where the feet are compared with the head, the way the weight is balanced on the legs. So looking at this elephant, I'm going to draw the trunk, which is going out, and it's swinging to the side a little bit, probably a bit long, going up to the tusks. Now one tusk is higher than the other because the head is slightly tilted, so that will show a little bit of movement. Just with that, you can see the vein going up from the eye, and then it goes up and over, and the ears, you can get a lot of movement in the ears. The ears come down and under the tusk like that. And you can see I'm doing quite a few different lines. I'm just trying to follow the movement of the ear, and that goes up into the head a little bit, and you've got the back bit here of the head behind the tusk. So looking at the body, I'm thinking of the shape of the body. So the body is quite small actually compared with the head. It drops down and it goes up like that. When I look at the legs, I can see the elephant's walking because this leg is dropped quite low, and I'm going to do the knee bends just there, so you don't see much of the bottom of the leg, it's foreshortening. So that automatically gives you the idea that the animal is in movement. And then you've got the back leg, which is just quite static and vertical, and that is lower than this leg because this leg is being held up in the air. The other leg is quite hidden behind here. So this is the only leg that really shows the movement going on in the body. And then you've got this other leg at the front there, which comes down and again slightly lower than that leg. And because I've got so many little marks going on and little scribbles, that also lends itself to the movement. So I can exaggerate, I've just exaggerated the curve of that back leg there. I can put the tail in, even though it's not actually in this picture. And then there's shadows, and I can use the shadows on the ground to create a kind of a forward movement of energy, and there's a shadow that goes behind like that. And I'll just put the trunk in a little bit more carefully, so the trunk swinging. So all these different little thoughts behind this show how the animal is in movement, is moving forward. And so I can put the other elephant in behind it like that, and that one's got its head bent forward, that's in forward motion, so I'll put its trunk in. You can barely see it actually, but you do see quite a lot of legs going on behind here. So I'm just going to try and put them in as I see them. They won't make a lot of sense, I don't think, because they don't make a lot of sense to me. I think there's a bent leg there, but the bending of the legs shows the movement. This leg is slightly lower, like that. And I think the thrust of this head down and forward gives it the feeling of movement and flow forwards. Just get the shape of the head like that. And again, I can use shadows here. There's a shadow there to suggest the forward movement of the elephant. So you can use line, you can use shadow, you can use the shape of the animal and where the weight is balanced to give the feeling of movement. Now another still from this film of elephants is at 3.49, and this is an elephant that's just turning around. You've got the shape of the head and going down to the tusks, so the head is slightly lower than in the last one, and there's the trunk is going off here, and that's the bottom of the face. So that's the head. And then the ear is actually, because it's moving, you can't really see what's going on, so you can have something that's a bit impermanent. You don't have to have the whole line in there, and the impermanence of the line that you're using will also show movement. It's kind of flicking up a little bit, so I'm going to soften the head like that. The eye is about here, and there's a shadow that drops down here, so I can just put that in like that, and the tusks go there, and then there's a shadow on the trunk. I could oh, the trunk's curled actually, so I'm going to go up with that. That gives a nice feeling of a movement going that way. And then the leg, which is quite interesting, is going over this way, so that's just stepping out. It's quite a bit lower than I've got it. And then the other leg is going over here, and that leg is straight, and what that leg is doing is anchoring the elephant as it turns. So that's a very solid line. And then you've got the body, and what happens with the body is there's a shift, there's kind of like a lean. So I'm trying to capture that feeling of lean, and that line here goes into this line here of the leg. And then what happens is the back legs are right underneath the body, so there's a real leaning over, a real movement going on here. So this leg actually, and it looks quite slim actually, this leg comes in behind this one. So to exaggerate a little bit, I'll get a bit more lean. And then the other leg, I think this one is a little bit too far over to the right. I'll take it back a bit. And then the other leg comes out here. So at the moment, what's going on is because the animal is in mid-movement, there's a real imbalance, and it looks like it's going to fall over. I'm going to have the line of shadow going over there, a line of shadow in there, and the sun is hitting this leg like this, and I'm going to have a line going down this leg here. And because I'm using these expressive lines, it's giving the feeling of movement as well. There's a shadow going on here, and there's all kinds of shadows on the floor which also give the idea of movement as well. So I can just actually see the other ear, which I'll put in as just a shape to suggest movement again, and a little bit of shadow inside the ear there. So I could even put in a few marks to suggest movement and the way the elephant's moving, so it goes round like that. And what I'll do is I'll solidify these lines a little bit so it stands out a bit more. There's the eye, and I like this trunk, so I'm going to make that a little bit darker so it comes forward. A few lines in there, and there we go. It's a turning, moving elephant. Now the last image I'm going to draw is of a cheetah, and the cheetah's running right the way through the video, and I watched the video from beginning to end, and I'm going to try and do this from memory. So with the cheetah in the film, you can either have it like this, with the back legs moving forward and the front legs go behind, and the head moves forward like that, and then you've got the tail. Or you can have it stretching like that forward, and then you've got the head that comes forward like that. I'm going to do this one, I think. This is all from memory, so it's not going to be perfect, but it's the movement I want, and I like the movement of this. So basically from the head, I'm going to have the head slightly lowered with forward motion. And the head's quite small compared with the body, and I did notice there's quite a powerful shape within the chest here and the top of the front arms. So I think, if I remember rightly, it's going to leap, so it would be holding its arms like that somewhat, and maybe forward a bit there. Yes, I'm not very good at drawing cheetah heads. I'll give him a smile. Going down over here, and then there's this stretch, and I was quite amazed at how slim the body goes in the middle. Now I'm thinking of the line, and it'll go like that. The line that goes along here, I really like that. So I might cut a bit off the shoulders, just have that forward propelling motion using this line and maybe this line. And then the back leg, you couldn't really see it, so I'm just going to have it disappearing off into lines. And then the other back leg like that. So nothing definite about what's happening here, it's just all like linear movement. And then the tail going off like that. So, and then I could put my spots in. So might have a little bit more drawing on the paw, and I think they have quite a flat head. I might have the head going up a little bit, over here, like that. So it's very much leaping forward, and also there's a bit of dust coming up from the ground, and then I could have lines going along like that, like that. It's a nice idea to think about the spine as well. So for instance, my cat in the beginning, her spine when she was sat down went that way, so you can get a lot of movement. And then her leg when she was sat down, and then that leg going into the tail, and then over to the head, like that. So just by defining the spine a little bit, you can get a nice movement going on. That's it for today. I hope that was useful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.